This is because I've got 5 of them in my house. I've got 5 of
This one is the last version, Evans rebuilding, last version of the palace. So, this mother...
pomalu, nebo ti tam... Ty pomalu, nebo některá se lekne a i maličké jsou tady a
Thank